business managers.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Start that again, Director Jones. I just got the reminder to turn on the recording.
Oh, no problem. What I'd like to do is amend the agenda by moving the third item under the business managers report into the action items section, which is section 7. Only because we are asking for an approval. I don't know if it's completely necessary because there is the approval of the FY27 budget under that same business managers report. I don't know if we need to move both 2 and 3 so that they reflect uh, being action items on the agenda, but I'll leave that up to you because I honestly don't know completely.
Ashley, can you weigh in on that?
I was trying to get the agenda to open. I was having issues with it.
Okay. Do you need me to resend it to you?
Yes, please.
Okay. Second. Okay, now I'm fumbling around like a goofus. Okay. Okay, I just sent it, Ashley. Sorry.
Okay.
Did you get it?
Not yet.
Okay.
There it is. Okay, so Chris, what were you asking to move number 3?
Yeah, so we have the approval of the FY27 budget in your section, and then we have the approval of course, you and I to enter and submit any final budget adjustment requests. But they're both under 5, which is just listed as a business manager's report. And so what I was saying is that perhaps we should amend the agenda to include both of those items under number 7, which are the list of our action items.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Okay, so we have an amendment to add the 5 bars that I read off, and also an amendment to move item number 5.2 and 5.3 to become so I guess they would become item J and K. Is that
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the above amendments? The agenda with the above amendments.
I'll move Channing.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second Malinda.
Thank you. Roll call, Channing,
Aye.
Malinda,
Aye.
Carolyn, aye. Motion passes with all board members present voting in the affirmative. Okay, I want to go ahead and welcome our guests. We have Bryn McCabe Kelly, welcome. We have Johnny Rodriguez, welcome. Good to see you both here. And we have Mariana Vasquez also joining us from the special ed department. And then our board members, Mr. Conforti, Ms. Wickard, and our wonderful student representative, Ty McCabe. So welcome, everybody. Any public input? This is your time. Okay, no public input. Okay, great. Let's go on and move to the approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
I so move, Malinda.
Thank you, Malinda. Second?
I second Channing.
Thank you. Roll call, Malinda.
Aye.
Channing?
Aye.
Carolyn, I motion passes unanimously with all of us here. Oh, and I also want to welcome Miss Klein, our wonderful Courtney, so welcome to her as well. I think I got everybody. Okay, good. Okay, the minutes passed with everybody in affirmative. Let's move on to the business manager's report. Hi, Ashley.
Okay, so first page on the revenue report, all reimbursements are up to date. We did receive a few more bars for a few funds from PED this week. So once the board approves that wording to give me permission to submit any bars, I will submit them from now until June, and then some of the federal funds that we received, I'll be requesting more reimbursement for those, drawing those funds down. And let's see. The only other thing is I still need to request the fourth quarter lease assistance. I'm waiting until the May bank statement comes out. So that'll be submitted the first week of June. But everything else is pretty much up to date. So expenditure report as of April 30th, operational was positive 14,000. That number is going to change a bit just because we did receive a few increase bars, so that available amount should increase, which will just add to the carryover for next year. Food service is a little bit negative. I will probably have to move a little bit into operational to make that positive. And then going through Title I, we did receive a decrease again, so I had to move some expenses into operational. Idea B, we received an increase, so that negative 10,000 will be positive. Let's see. Title IV will be fully spent down. Let's see, we're working on spending all of our library funds, instructional materials. That amount will carry over. The school did work on spending down that state litter control and beautification grant, so that is almost fully spent down. Special capital outlay, we are also working on spending those funds down. And then HB 33 and SB 9, anything the school does not spend will carry over into next year. Next page is the bank account register activity report. So these are all the deposits and withdrawals that were made during the month. Let me know if anyone has any questions on anything that was paid or deposited. Any questions? Okay, no questions. So next page will be the outstanding purchase order report. So these are all the outstanding POs that we have. Anything that we don't use will just go back into the budget at the end of the year. We do have a remaining encumbrance total of 213,000. I think we'll probably use most of that. There's just probably going to be a few that have a little bit more funds left over, and they'll just add to carry over into next year. And then the next page is the bank reconciliation report. So ending balance per the bank was $420,572.73 minus the outstanding check. So the expected GL balance was $415,161.07. And then the next few pages is just the balance sheet. So it's going to show you the bank account balance per fund at the top, and then the carryover amounts per fund at the bottom. And then going to the bars. So the first bar is a 25-I. So this is an increase bar for Idea B for $16,487.18. 26-M is a maintenance bar for operational. So we're just cleaning up those negative budget lines. making sure everything is positive. 27-T is a transfer bar for operational. Same thing, just moving budget around, but this is between two different functions. 28-T is another transfer bar for operational, just moving budget around. 29-I is the increase bar for the GOB library fund. So the school was awarded $3,727. And that was the last one. Carolyn, do you want me to just go into the FY27 budget right away?
Well, let's approve these bars real quick so we get them
Okay.
out of the way. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the financial bars as presented by our business manager?
So moved, Channing.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second, Malinda.
Thank you. Roll call. Channing? Malinda?
Aye.
Carolyn, I motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, then now we can go into the budget.
Okay, so for FY27, there was a few things we had to make sure we are implementing when we were building the budget, which was a 1% increase for all staff, and then also switching over the insurance to an 80-20 split instead of a 60-40 split. This budget is based off of 120 students. So you will see that our SEG did go down about 335,000. And then also our carryover went down. We did project a carryover of 20,000. I think we're going to have more than that, but at the time we're just being very conservative. We did not expect some of these extra funds to come in, so that's just a real conservative estimate. But yeah, we just made sure all staff got the 1% increase. We did do the increase to medical and dental. On top of moving the medical premiums to the 80-20 split, we also had to estimate a 10% increase for medical and then a 4% increase for dental. And we just kind of really had to go line by line. We did have to cut a lot from the budget because of the decreases. Some of the federal grants also did receive a decrease, so we had to take those into account too when moving some of the expenses from federal grants into operational. And then another thing that did increase was the annual NMCA risk payment. So it did increase slightly, about 3,000. So we did have to account for that. And then at the end, we were able to fully balance the budget. It is going to be a very tight budget next year, but Mr. Jones and Caroline and myself, we had a meeting and we discussed on different options the school could do to increase enrollment. And Chris, I don't know if you want to make any comment towards that or.
Yeah, I mean, let me start over. As a part of my report, I'll explain to you all where we are with with the education program amendment. We're hopeful that we may be able to add some students that way, but more than anything, we increased by a couple of calendar days, but the big thing is we're really going to be tight when it comes to budget. We had to make some staffing, adjustments, and we're just really hopeful that students return. And we do have a lot of interest. There was a school that shut down recently. Their high school shut down, so we're receiving a lot of their students, and potentially over the summer we'll continue to recruit. And I mean, ideally we'll retain our current students, but of course charter schools are that way. So there really isn't anything else to share at this time, with the exception of if the virtual program is approved, we can start to market and potentially get up to 20% of our total enrollment on the virtual end of what we have to offer. So there are some things that are out there that may require approval, but it's going to be a tight year.
Yep. Okay, and then just the other thing I wanted to go over is the salary schedule. So we did just calculate the 1% increase for the steps, and we did the level 1, level 2, and level 3 teachers. But that's everything I have. And then just the third, or Caroline, do you want to just do this approval and then I'll talk about just the permission, the bar permission?
Yeah, I guess I kind of messed that up a little bit. But we can go ahead and approve the budget at this point and then pick up the resolution.
Okay, and then the only thing I want to add is the budget was due today. So it was submitted to
Okay.
PED, and if we do want to make any changes, we just have to do a bar for next year, but everything was submitted on time. So
Okay, thank you, Ashley. I know that this kind of pushed the barrier, and I just kind of want to stress, you know, the difficulty it was for Director Jones, Ms. Wiffle, and myself to go through and figure out a way to make this a balanced budget to get us into the next year. It was very difficult, very sad, but we think that we have a good shot at getting the students in the seats that we need. So we really appreciate the staff, the parents, the kids, everybody who was willing to kind of make these sacrifices in order to try to get us, you know, through this next year. So thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Director Jones. Thank you, the staff, parents, you know, the kids. It was very difficult, but we think we have, you know, a good plan going. So with that, can I get a motion to approve the FY budget as submitted?
I so moved Channing.
Thank you. Second?
I'll second, Malinda.
Thank you, Malinda. Roll call, Channing? Malinda?
Aye.
Carolyn, I motion passes unanimously with all present. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to your report, Director Jones.
All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, can you all see what I'm sharing?
Yes.
Okay, good deal, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. It's already 12:22. As usual, I have all of these areas, you know, within my report from facilities ranging through other. Feel free to stop me at any time if you have questions, you know, members of the governing council. But I'll try to be very brief because we're toward the end of the school year anyhow. So I think I've overwhelmed you with information all year. Facilities. We did complete the entire fencing project, which is good. And by complete, they've invoiced us. So that's kind of the big picture. And the reason I'm resharing, it's they did submit their invoice. We are making that payment. Of course, the payment's coming from our capital outlay, special capital outlay allotment. So the only thing that we are missing is a call box, and we need the call box in order to fully secure the campus. That's the box that allows for visitors to call the front office, at which time they can be screened and let in. And so we're working on that. Manny and I have a meeting after this so that we can discuss the progress that's been made on that front. So it feels a lot more secure. It feels safe. We don't have as many people. Well, we don't have anyone walking through our parking lot at this point in time. So we feel good about that. The shade structure was complete. That looks really good. We were able to have our staff, well, our student barbecue with staff, of course, who were the ones that made it happen by grilling and doing a lot of cool things with activities. And so it was a nice space. It was a really nice barbecue, and the shade structure provides a lot of good shade for our campus. We will have the 8th grade step up day, and that'll be on actually tomorrow is our 8th grade step up day, and we plan on using that space for that particular event. So we're excited about the shade structure. And then the last thing that I wanted to share is that we're working with our IT group to get us a quote or a few quotes on signage. And by that, we are still working toward trying to obtain a digital marquee. And of course, that'll be for the southwest corner of our campus along Central so that we can have more of a presence. And so we're still working on that. That will be submitted and run through PED so that we could potentially use special capital outlay since our operational budget wouldn't allow that type of a purchase. Moving into finance, budget and staffing updates were already shared with you. We had to make some tough decisions. It is going to be very tight, but we are hopeful that we can get students in seats as President Carlson mentioned. We really need our students to come. I am very hopeful. I've seen it happen throughout my career. I think we'll get our students back who are contemplating other schools perhaps, but more importantly, we're just going to combine our current students with new students and hopefully get these seats filled. We'd love for everyone to come back. It was obviously an adjustment year for everyone, but I will say on that front, and I do have this as a part of my updates below, but we did receive our access for ELL scores back, and that's the assessments that's administered to all students who qualify for ELL services. And by qualifying for ELL services, it means that there's a second language spoken in the home, and you have to pass an assessment prior to exiting. So we had 7 students who assessed, and we had 2 of those students exit. And so that put us at about 28%. State average on this assessment when it comes to the number of students who exit is well below 20. So that just goes to show that there's a lot of good work that's happening in our classrooms. And so we had 2 students who were able to exit, and that's pretty uncommon. Previously, when I ran a dual language school, we reached 19% at one point, and we were considered a dual language spotlight school for that reason alone. So, we're at 28%, and I'm very happy with that result already. So again, word of mouth will bring students here, and that's what's going to be important for us. So I will be issuing contracts by Friday. I did get the letters of commitment to staff and of course the non-renewals, which was a sad thing to have to do, but in order to balance our budget, we had to make some changes. I am going to ask for the approval of Title I, Title II, Title IV, and the Idea B applications. All of these funds are going to salaries, and the way that we proposed each of these federal funds is, completely allocating those towards salaries, because we can buy stuff with a Title I award, but we don't need more stuff. What we need is highly qualified staff to come in and help facilitate learning for students. So Title I and Title IV will be allocated to our school social workers so that we can continue with our crisis protocols, restorative practices, and of course, general and special education social work. Title II, that's a fund that sits, and really we give stipends to our, what I call master teachers, who help with mentorship, with professional learning communities and other areas, as far as really being the anchors of our core and CTE programs. And then Idea B is going toward one, and it doesn't even cover a full salary of one of our special education teachers. But, all of these awards are going toward just making sure that we have adults here to help to, again, facilitate learning and support the school. So that's what's happening with our title funds, and those federal funds, we hope, will help to support our operational budget by offsetting it a bit. There is a charter law office PSA that I would like for the board to consider approving. That's for the service of Susan Fox, who's our school attorney. She helps us in various ways, whenever we run into issues with, with law or anything legal. So anything that we need, we consult with her. And so she's provided us with the PSA for the upcoming fiscal year. We can definitely review that, and it isn't for a lot of money, but we do need a lawyer, and Susan is one of the best in the industry. The last thing I wanted to say when it comes to finance or purchasing, this has to do with finance because we're awaiting clarification from the PED regarding funding that's related to the new House bill, and that House bill potentially limits funding for students who are participating in virtual programs. And so we're waiting to see if we would receive the full unit value for students once we pass our projections. So Ashley's put in an email to the PED, and we're waiting to hear if potentially they will limit our funds for those students above our projection that are participating in virtual education, which will impact our programming. Moving on to charter management, I just wanted to remind the governing council that training is required before June 30, and I know you all have been working hard on that, and thank you so much for what you do as volunteers. Attending these meetings, of course, isn't something that everyone wants to do, but you're making a big difference here. So thank you for your time, and obviously training and the additional reading of the packet that I prepare with President Carlson and Ashley. That's something that we appreciate very much. But if you haven't completed your training, please do so. If you need, I can share with you different opportunities, and I've tried to forward them off, but feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions about that.
I have a real quick question. I
Sure.
see that annual conference that they have every year in June being offered. Is it not going to happen this year?
I was wondering the same thing. And I know last year they published a survey because what they wanted is they wanted us to vouch for the importance of that conference. I haven't seen anything come out.
Pardon me.
Oh, sure.
I read something day before yesterday saying there was no conference this year.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
gosh. Thank you, Malinda. Yeah, I had no idea. It didn't look very promising.
Huh. Well, that's too bad because that was a good way to get all of the So that's a good reminder, and we'll make sure that Eddie and Kendra get the reminder as well. And then let's see, I was just on the public charter school website. So yeah, there's different ways that we can pick up our remaining training. Well, that's too bad. I always enjoyed those conferences.
That is too bad. I wonder. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, Malinda. I was curious myself. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm correct because I was kind of surprised when I saw it.
That makes sense. Yeah. I guess their survey must not have been very popular. Poor things. Okay. Darn it. Moving on, the PEC has sent us an email, and during the June meeting, they will most likely attend because they are encouraging us or asking us to move to the new performance framework model. We're one of 12 schools that is still under the old performance framework, and there are some differences. However, they want to come to the board meeting to explain those differences. They would like for us to move into the new performance framework because it makes it easier for them to kind of level the playing field when it comes to evaluating schools' progress toward meeting each of the indicators within the performance framework. So I just wanted to add this to give you a heads up that during the June meeting, they will come and they will help to explain what the transition would look like for us and how it would impact us. The next thing is the education plan amendment request was added to the agenda on the 22nd, which is this Friday. So the PEC will consider our amendment request to add that virtual component. I did meet with Dr. Russell from the Charter Schools Division, and she's the director. She had some questions regarding what our plans were, and so I shared with her kind of the details regarding what we're proposing. She had some initial concerns about the percentage of students that we wanted to be online. And so, she felt good when we finished our conversation, and ultimately it looks like a 20% cap of total enrollment. And that's if we were to reach that. So if we had 125 students, 25 of those students, we would be permitted to have online as virtual students. Now, I also want to say that our number one priority is to have students in seats because we're a CTE school. Our teachers do a great job of preparing. That preparation goes a long way. This is a practical program that requires a lot of hands-on work. So, really, this is one of the big goals behind this is retention of students as well. The board may or may not know this, but we lost almost 10 students this year to online schools. And the reason we lost them is because, one, they were outside of the general city limits, and they didn't have adequate transportation to make it, or consistent transportation to make it to campus. So we had to counsel them into the online schools because that's what they were looking for. There were approximately 5 of them. And then we've lost approximately 5 additional students who had other needs that we couldn't meet. And really those needs had to do with levels of anxiety that made it impossible for them to attend school on a regular basis, all of which were in their IEPs in terms of kind of their mental health needs. And so these are students who are interested in the media arts, but really needed a different setting because of needs that we couldn't satisfy. So we feel that this program will help us to retain students. But of course, there are those students who would love to participate in the courses that we offer and in the media arts, but simply live outside of the Albuquerque area and lack transportation. So I just want the board to understand, and including the parents and staff that are with us today, that our intention is not to become a virtual school. We do not want to become a virtual school. I was the principal of a virtual school previously, and I know that, there are many benefits, some of which I just mentioned to you, which is if a school setting isn't appropriate for you, depending on your needs, online school does serve its purpose. Our goal is to continue doing exactly what we're doing now, and to offer, a select group of students, which 20% of our total enrollment isn't a big number, the opportunity to participate in what we offer. So I just wanted to clarify that. That's the same information I'll share with the Public Education Commission on Friday. We have a whole plan. We have a great student representative who helped me to create an infographic, and he's with us today. And so that's in your packet as well. But thank you to our 8th grade leader, Mr. Taig, who is huge in helping us all the time. So that's the education plan amendment request information. And on Friday, I will most likely be in Santa Fe to defend it and hopefully get us an approval. Moving on, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. We have our film festival, and that's taking place on Thursday. It's from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Guild Theater. We did send out a press release to the media outlets, and we were already featured, I believe, in Nob Hill News, so that's pretty good. I'm really excited to see the projects that students have created. I've already seen them internally in classrooms, and I've seen them working on them very hard, but to see the polished versions, that have been created with Mr. Conforti and, of course, with Mr. Shu and Mr. Kitos, I'm looking forward to that because it's important we showcase the great work that our students do. They're so talented. We have grades that were due on the 15th, so we wanted to finalize grades and make sure that all of our students had this week to make up work and get closer, to passing classes if necessary. So that took place. I just shared the access results, and that's an exciting thing for us because that's the first set of data we've gotten back from this particular school year, right, from the 25-26 school year. And it's exciting to have a 28% passage rate. Even though we have such a low number of students who take that assessment, it's still big for us. We will have some results of the NMAMA, so math and reading. Those will be preliminary results that are embargoed, but I did receive a memo to state, or that shared, they'll be released on the 18th of June, and our instructional leadership team will review those together. And then NWEA, which is our short cycle interim assessment, that was recently wrapped up, so we should have our data validated soon, and I can share it with you during the June meeting. And then moving along, policy-wise, we only have one thing to share with you, and I do have Ms. Vasquez, who, if you have questions, you're more than welcome to ask Ms. Vasquez. But I wanted to remind you that we did adopt a special education policy handbook. Prior to this adoption, the school was without a special education policy handbook, and so we adopted it from an attorney group here in New Mexico that focuses on special education law. We paid $5,000 for the policy handbook, and it was included in the packet as well. However, the most important thing for the board to understand is that these special education policies are aligned with statute here in the state. So schools are not permitted to create their own policies. We are required to follow the statutes that the state has put forth, and all schools, all LEAs are required to follow that same set of policies to standardize what special education services look like. in the state of New Mexico. So that is one of the action items for approval. But if you have any questions about that, I'll stop talking, give you a break. So Ms. Vasquez, if you have any questions for her, she's with us and she's able to answer now. Any questions, guys? Okay, yeah, it's a pretty standardized kind of template. Same way that we adopted our employee and student handbooks. Those were from our attorney, and our attorney does sell those to schools across the state. And again, they're all very standardized because we do have administrative code and we have state statutes that we're required to follow by law. And so they're all very much in line with what we're expected to do from a legal standpoint. And that's the same thing as the special education policy handbook. So rest assured, we have something in place that we can fall back on. And really that, as we know, policies and procedures are the backbone of an organization, so that we can make sure that we're consistent. So last but not least, our enrollment update. We are at 94 students. And the reason that this number is fluctuating a bit is because we're getting new students, but we're also being more realistic in understanding our conversations with parents who have told us, I did submit the registration paperwork, but my student is trying a new school next year. So we've started to remove students from lists. And that's giving us a more accurate look at where we are when it comes to numbers so that we can continue to enroll new students and still not exceed our caps in various grade levels, because we purchase just enough curriculum and we have just enough devices for a certain number of students at each grade level, which is why I've really tried to push our parents and students to resubmit their paperwork so that we can prioritize them as opposed to having their slots filled. And so hopeful that everyone comes back, but right now we're at about 94 and that number continues to increase every week. This week, I believe we have 6 potential students. They've taken tours and they're either actively enrolling or they have committed to enrolling here in the near future. As far as Elevate teacher evaluations are concerned, those will be wrapped up by Friday. We were able to successfully navigate that this school year. The teachers were great about that. In addition to doing the Elevate components, I also had my own snapshot, which is a walkthrough tool, but we've completed everything that we're required to do. And so, you know, after 3 years of not being evaluated, the teachers were actually very receptive to getting that feedback. So I appreciate them a whole lot. And then last but not least, next step plans, which is another thing that we were not compliant with. Next step plans is a plan toward graduation that's required to be completed during the last 60 days of each school year. Unfortunately, our school had fallen, I think, 3 years behind. And so these plans had not been completed. But I want to thank Ms. Vasquez, Ms. Barfison, Ms. Dallas. They all stepped up into the counseling role and really made sure that they took the initiative to get these things done with students. We've sent out the plans to families for signature. And so really the last step is obtaining signatures from parents and then getting these things entered into the student information system, at which point the public education department will remove the corrective action plan that's in place currently. So made a lot of good progress this year, and I thank the team for all of their work. And that's it for me. Any questions?
That's a lot of information there.
Yeah, I know. I told Dr. Tafoya because I really fumbled during the graduation. It was a great ceremony, but I'll tell you what, I was giving out the wrong diplomas to students because
Oh, gosh.
and they were trading. It was kind of funny, but it was kind of not funny. And he said, wow, you're always so well organized during the meetings and put together. And I said, well, I'm more long-winded than well organized. And so thank you, Dr. Tafoya, for your compliments. But that is it for my report. And if you have any questions, even after the meeting, always feel free to email me or give me a call. But that is the information that I have to share with you. And most of those items are reflected in the agenda and they are action items. And so I ask for your approval.
Okay, thank you. I just want to kind of make a comment on the recruiting piece. If maybe before we go into the summer, we can get a small group of, maybe a student, you, board members, and we kind of brainstorm on things that we can be doing over the summer so that we don't miss certain things. Like right off the top, I know we have the Pride Parade coming up. We have those parades coming. So we should maybe see how we can have, we have our fence up now. We could actually sell parking spots or whatever, because this year it won't be open for everybody just to come park in during these parades. We'll have control of it. So maybe if we can kind of look ahead and not to overwhelm anybody for the summer, because it is a summer break and you all have worked so hard. But if we can kind of find those, those events, I think, weren't we in a meeting just recently, Director Jones, with Miss Voigt, with Glenna Voigt, and she had brought up some things that are coming up. One, Mr. Conforti, that I wanted to bring to your attention was a Warehouse 508 film event going to be happening over the summer. So we should probably see what that is about, because there would be a lot of kids there that might be looking for a school that fits their, filmmaking, whatever they're doing over at Warehouse 508. But Glenna had some good ideas on that level. And not to overwhelm anybody, but just be aware that those are places where we can actually do something to be among, the students that are interested in media and whatnot. So I just wanted to throw that out for the summer before, it'd be nice if we could all just like go cruise the Caribbean, right? But
Yeah, that would be a really good idea, President Carlson. I think, in the Parent Advisory Committee, we had a subcommittee that was kind of dedicated toward public or, outreach in general and helping with enrollment and recruitment. So it'd be nice to work with, Ms. Rodriguez again. The previous president prior to Mrs. Rodriguez, we had some initiatives going, and then of course she left. But yeah, it takes a lot of us because there are a lot of events, but it would be a really good idea for us to kind of maximize our presence at each of these events so we can potentially get some students and spread the word that we exist. I think that's the big thing, is there's so many options. It's hard to know who's around. And so I think getting our name out there would help a lot.
Great. Any other questions or comments on Director Jones's report? Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the action items. The first action item, number A, is the Infrastructure and Capital Improvement Plan. And what this is, this year, there's been a little bit of a change in the legislature. Now school districts have to do the same thing that municipalities do, which is come up with an ICIP, an Infrastructure Capitalization Plan. Ashley, did you attend the webinar that they had? I think it was last week. It was pretty interesting and pretty complicated what the state has kind of put in place. But anyway, between meetings with our lobbyists, Ms. Wiffle and Director Jones, we came up with an ICIP for this next legislature because we have to have that in place. And it is the ICIP that we narrowed it down to was $500,000 for general facility upgrades and $300,000 for security and tech upgrades. And that is sort of how we narrowed it down, going back and forth with our lobbyists. Do you agree, Ms. Director Jones?
Yes, yeah, I do.
And then Ashley, did you go to that webinar that they had on the ICIP?
Yeah, I did.
It was kind of complicated, right?
It was very complicated.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so there's another link we can go back in and rewatch it, because getting capital outlay money just became more difficult, I guess, in the bottom line. It just became more difficult, more reporting, more accountability, and more forethought and planning. So
Yeah. It's too bad that they don't have a box that you check so that you can turn your capital outlay into operational dollars.
absolutely, we would be doing really good next year if we could do that. But As far as the capital outlay and capital projects, though, I feel the school looks the best it's looked in a decade right now, and which is a huge improvement. So we should pat ourselves on the back for that, for accomplishing those goals with the capital out, and it's just going to get better now. So, okay, so that's what the action item is for the infrastructure and capital improvement plan for $500,000 for general facility upgrades, $300,000 for security and technological upgrades. Can I get a motion to approve?
I so moved Channing.
Thank you. A second?
I second Malinda.
Thank you. Roll call, Channing? Malinda?
Aye.
Carolyn, aye. Motion passes unanimously with all present. You want to go over again what the NSLP contract is, Director Jones?
Sure. This is for Universal Meals, and this is the National School Lunch Program. And
Okay.
so we receive an award for that. Generally, it does cover the entire program, so all of our costs associated with student meals. And so this year, the projection looks like $68,000 is what the program will cost, based on 187 days of school. And so with that in mind, they do bill us on a monthly basis. And so it's based on reimbursement. And the other thing that's important to share with the board is that we went through the process, and thank you to Courtney for really initiating this process with Canteen and the Public Education Department, but we've become a community eligibility provision school, so that allows us to have a higher rate of reimbursement. And that means we'll receive more money back so that we have less of an obligation to cover additional expenses out of operational. So that's what that is. And we did submit and had approved the application. And, again, the cost is $68,600, which is the reason that I had to add it to the agenda, because it's above my threshold of approval.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the NSLP contract as presented by Director Jones?
I so move Malinda.
Great. Second?
Channing.
Great. Roll call. Malinda?
Aye.
Channing? Carolyn, motion passes unanimously with all present and all voting members voting in the affirmative. Okay, we got to get a pattern down here.
A quick question.
Yeah.
Did we get, so I know that the students had made comments about the lunches they were receiving. Did we get to improve the menu for this coming year?
Yeah, so right now we have all their data, and what we're doing is we're setting up a meeting here at the end of the school year into June so that we can finalize the menu. So we know what their favorites are now, and that's helpful because again, we had our students voice their concerns and opinions, but that'll be the next step, is finalizing the menu. And then at that point, going into ordering for the next school year, it'll be ordered in advance and we'll be on a cycle menu.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Okay, let's move through the Title and Idea B applications real quick. So we have the approval of the Title I application. Can I get a motion?
I so move Malinda.
Second?
Channing.
Great. Roll call, Malinda?
Aye.
Channing? Carolyn? Aye. Motion passes in the affirmative. We can see her lips move. Motion passes. Approval of Title II application as explained by Director Jones. Can I get a motion to approve?
Move Channing.
Great. Second?
Second Malinda.
Great. Roll call, Channing? Malinda?
Aye.
Carolyn, aye. Motion passes in the affirmative with all voting members present. Approval of the Title IV application as presented by Director Jones. Can I get a motion to approve?
I so move Malinda.
Great. Second?
Right.
Roll call, Malinda? Malinda, aye.
Aye.
Channing? Great. Carolyn, aye. Motion passes in the affirmative with all voting members present. Approval of the Idea B application. Can I get a motion to approve?
I so move Malinda.
Second? Great. Roll call, Malinda?
Aye.
Channing?
Aye.
Carolyn, aye. Motion passes in the affirmative with all voting members present. Approval of the Special Education Policy Handbook. Can I get a motion to approve?
I so move, Malinda.
Second?
Channing.
Thank you. Roll call. Malinda.
Aye.
Channing.
Aye.
Carolyn, aye. Motion passes in the affirmative. The approval of the school year 26-27 calendar revisions.
So move, Channing.
Great, thank you. Malinda? Oh,
Yeah.
second.
I second, Malinda.
Great. Roll call. Channing? Malinda?
Aye.
Carolyn, aye. Motion passes in the affirmative. Approval of the Charter Law School Office PSA, as explained by Director Jones.
I so move, Malinda.
Second? Great. Second roll call. Malinda?
Aye.
Channing?
Aye.
Carolyn, aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, now we're going to approve the verbiage for, and I will read the verbiage that we need to approve to give the business manager and Director Jones the authority to do bars within the next month. So the verbiage is this: approval for the principal, director, head administrator, and the business manager to enter and submit any final budget adjustment requests on behalf of the school to maintain budgetary compliance for audit and other regulatory purposes. This is done knowing that the bars will not impact actual cash, but only address budgets. In addition, any bars submitted as allowed under this approval will be brought before the governing council at the next meeting with a review and detailed explanation. Can I get a motion to approve the verbiage?
I so move, Channing.
Great. Can I get a second?
I second, Malinda.
Great. Roll call. Channing? Malinda?
Aye.
Carolyn, aye. Motion passes in the affirmative with all board members present voting in the affirmative. Phew, that was a mouthful.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was very good organization there. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the rest of our reports. Are you there, Mr. Conforti? Here you come.
Hi there, folks. I was just talking to Mr. Jones. Actually, we did have a computer issue this week, and turns out it was a power outage again that knocked our server off. And anyways, he just got that fixed. I do want to confirm our class that was just in here confirmed using some quasi-scientific methods, some special equipment and video filming, taping, recording, that the Marilyn Monroe room is haunted. Okay, they said they had several encounters and they were actually being talked to, and so you know, I mean, that's kind of just an end of the year project. We might develop that further. Actually, that was also confirmed by the film crew that was in here a couple of weekends ago. They confirmed that it was that the bank was haunted as well, and so we might have to explore that more. Anyways, guys, real quick, it's that time of the year. I just submitted 5 entries for the Emmy the regional Emmy Awards. We'll see where that goes. You know, you win some, you lose some. That's the one film festival that, you know, to me is credible. There's so many out there right now that aren't credible, and they're really scams, and I'm really apprehensive about them. But anyways, this one is definitely credible, and so we'll see where that goes. The nominations usually come out in August, and then the awards are given in September. A couple other things on the in the film news. New Mexico State University, NMSU, was named as one of the top colleges in the country for animation. And so that's a really big deal. And again, we've had a couple students like Brian Stiegel's son, Ian, who graduated from NMSU and got big jobs in doing media and animation. Also, again, UNM has been, New Mexico has been cited. Mr. Jones brought this up. Has been cited as among the best places in the country still to do for filmmakers. UNM, I just heard a report by a UNM official talking about their enrollment. Of course, like all schools, it's decreasing to some extent, but they said that certain programs are still very viable and are increasing. What they've noted is a curious kind of a mix. I wish I had done that, but students are actually signing up for double majors in many cases. On one side, they're doing like very job-oriented majors where they can get jobs like in healthcare or engineering and STEM, that kind of thing. But they're taking a double major in something that kind of their passion interest. And the UNM officials cited specifically their film programs and their flamenco programs that are very attractive to students. And so that's kind of interesting. I mentioned this, I think, at the last meeting, but CNM is still on board apparently to open their new film school down at the rail yards this August. I'll believe it when I see it. But part of that, involves a separate studio that will be run by this media arts collective, and the idea is to allow students to work with professional film companies doing projects in their studio. We just had that opportunity, like I said, a couple weekends ago. And Ty, thankfully, participated in it, and maybe he can make a comment about it here in a second about what, kind of his reflections on it. It was a really good project, in my opinion, and I want to thank Courtney too for expending her weekend here, 12-hour days with them. It was a passion project by a former intelligence analyst who had this passion project to did a GoFundMe to do a professional short film that she'll take around to festivals. And it's about her work. I think it was really therapy for her PTSD that she experienced over her work. We had, in addition to Tig, two of our other students, two seniors, Destiny and Kay Rivera, who worked on this project, and they really worked, and this crew was really great. They were young filmmakers. They were very professional, but they involved our students into it. They weren't just there observing, they were doing it. And it was really great to see our students being able to work with a professional crew. That's an experience that we can't do generally in our class, on our regular day-to-day classroom activities, and it's vital to students getting that kind of instruction, and also it's inspiring because these students, for instance, the AD, the assistant director, who was a graduate of the CNM film program, and she worked. She was really good, and she worked 12 hours a day here. And then after she left here, she was going to another shoot. And it wasn't because they were making a lot of money. It was because they loved doing it. It was their passion. And all these people were working basically because it was just something they wanted to do. And so I think that was a good experience for our students to witness these people who were so dedicated. And anyways, they mainly used the bank and then the Marilyn Monroe room, and downstairs they used a conference room. We didn't make a lot of money off of it. The money will go to the foundation. But what I'm hoping is I will contact, as soon as school is out, I will contact Cindy McCrossan at the Albuquerque Film Office, who referred them to us, and basically thank her for doing that. And she was the one who suggested that we utilize the bank, at least in the short term, for productions. And I'm hoping that this could lead us to get, at least in the short term, some productions that came in there and spent big money on us. And And so it might as well use it. And again, this also brings our school to the attention of people in the industry. The director of this project, in fact, said she might want to send her son here this year. And he's currently being homeschooled because he's also a SAG actor. And he'll be entering the ninth grade, I guess. And anyways, again, it's a way of connecting us with the to the industry. I was mentioning to Mr. Jones today because we were talking about how we do need to get some kind of industry support. We can't rely solely on the state. Um, we need oh yeah, Ty just texted or chatted. Her son has 175,000 followers on Instagram, and that's this director's son. And so, I mean, I'm hoping we can get him. Part of it would be one part of the inducement for him would be having that hybrid online system because he's currently doing his homeschooling online, and so that he has time to act. And but she said this looks like a really good school, and she says your students are amazing, and so that was really good to hear. But again, we've always talked about it, how to get industry support in an industry angel, if you will. And we always talk about Netflix. And I mentioned to Mr. Jones today that while the state of New Mexico has an annual budget of $11 billion, Netflix takes in their revenue for a year. This last year was over 47 billion. Okay, they had a 17% increase over the following year. It's like Willie Sutton, the bank robber, said, why does he rob banks? That's where the money is, right? The money is at Netflix. It's not at the state of New Mexico. They've got 4 times as much money every year than the state of New Mexico does. So they should be able to help out this little school here, okay? The other thing I mentioned to Mr. Jones, I just read today was the Academy of Motion Pictures just implemented some new rules to qualify for having a movie eligible for Best Picture. They have to have several of the following criteria. One of them is to what is it? They need to have paid internships or training opportunities to be offered by the studio or production. Okay, so the Academy of Motion Pictures is prioritizing this kind of involvement in education, and so that's why I think the only thing that's been holding us back from it here for our school has been the unions. And the productions themselves don't have a problem with bringing on minors onto the set. Interestingly, at the morning meetings when this production was here, the AD gave a long safety briefing, which is something they're bound to do, is to remind everybody on the crew, here are all the safety procedures. And one of the things that she announced every morning to all the crew is there are juveniles on set. Okay, so as long as they abide by that, and Hollywood's been abiding by having juveniles on set since the beginning of Hollywood, and so it's not an issue for them. It's just been an issue for the union, and so we have to try to get around that some way. I also think, though, that in terms of the state, one of the things I want to start doing this summer, and I've mentioned this before, and I think we have enough of a lobby to begin doing this, is to seek some changes in the state film incentive laws. Okay. And I've got the original bills. For those of you who don't remember, the state got behind the movie industry beginning in the late 60s with Governor Cargo. And then Gary Johnson basically drew up the first film subsidy legislation. They weren't implemented until Richardson came in 2000. I've got those bills, and what those bills specifically mention is that small percentage, a fraction of a percent of the state permanent fund every year would go to supporting local independent low budget filmmakers. And that is the other element. But the union came in and negated that early on, and but that is the essential ingredient to help make the media education program work in New Mexico, is for young filmmakers to be able to come out of school and make their own films, because Hollywood is changing and it can be done. This group this last weekend proved that it could be. And so I think that it's a bipartisan issue. Okay, guys, it's not something that the that's favored by either side, and I think we might have some success in getting that back in, and it's worth a try. But anyways, that's about all I have. Anybody have any questions? Oh, Ty, you want to say something about the experience with the production company here?
Yeah, it was a huge success, I think. I've been invited to two more productions to work on, and I already did one of them, and then the other one is tomorrow actually. But it just went really well.
What are you going to do?
I will be a PA and so a production assistant on both those.
Thanks, Tig. Yeah, and again, Tig worked his butt off on this, not just gophering, not just getting coffee, but doing tech stuff and all of that kind of stuff. And the other two PAs were actually working with the art director, making props and set decorating. And so what was really good is that the students saw how a crew that each one of them who knows what they're doing is working together collaboratively, and how everything is intentional. It would take sometimes 2 or 3 hours for them just to set up to shoot one scene, right, Ty? And the old saying is hurry up and wait, right? And but it was very intentional, and that's something that we don't do so much in classes, because in classes the students really have they want to see immediate results, right? And when they write a script, they want to, they don't really work on it to that extent, and they basically are shooting, and that's something that's just hard for us to bring into students until you get to that much higher level. But anyways, guys, I hope we can do more of those. And like I say, I'm going to try to talk to Cindy about that.
Great. There's a lot of stuff going on. And then we have the film fest tomorrow, right? So your kids will be there. All right.
Thursday.
That's 2 days. Okay. I'm rushing things. Okay, let's go ahead and move into the student representative report. Tig?
I don't really have much to report. Most of it was just already discussed.
Well, we had a barbecue and a graduation and a prom, and those were all good?
It all went well, yeah. I don't think we had any problems with any of them.
Well, that's good news. Okay, great. We'll go ahead and move on to new and old business and the council roundtable. So I have a few things. I just want to mention that both Kendra and Dr. Tafoya are excused. Dr. Tafoya is retiring from Highlands University, so he is up there, I guess, taking down his office or doing whatever you have to do when you retire. So both of them are excused for today. I was just looking at the governing council training schedules, and it looks like the only way right now to get the credits we need is through the Canva. So I think, Channing, you're already signed up on that, and Malinda, so I'll make sure we can get Kendra and Eddie on that so they can complete their governing council training. Because I think they might have been relying on that conference that's not going to happen. And then a little bit of good news. Courtney gave me some mail that came to the school, and it's from the county, and we got our non-taxable status for the rest of the building. So that's a savings. Ashley, do I need to scan this and get this to you for your files? I probably will anyway, just so
Yeah.
that you have it.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Okay, so that's a good thing. We got that taken care of. So now the whole property is non-taxable, and that does save us quite a bit of money. Still looking to get a board member on board with some sort of accountant or kind of the financial the background. I do have an inquiry right now from one person who's interested in being on the board, so we'll see how that pans out. I think adding 2 more people to the board gives us, some more input, some more help, and can keep us moving through this next year. Channing, Malinda, do you have any comments or anything to say?
Want to say thank you to everybody who are basically the glue for the entire school, and just knowing that it looks a lot more positive going into this next school year. It's very hopeful, and all our parents, our students, the faculty, everyone's doing a great job. So thank you very much, Carolyn. You're doing it all too for a lot of us council members. So thank you. I did also want to mention that I'm absolutely available to make time over the summer to get to some events, pass out flyers, just street team, do whatever I got to do. I've done it before. And also just to hopefully keep you all informed with other events as well, especially our rural communities, like our reservations. Being from Laguna Pueblo, Acoma Pueblo, I think that this could really benefit us, having students that come from those reservation rural areas to do an online setting, because they don't have these type of opportunities in their own schools, especially for media. And sometimes that's all they rely on is social media or the internet, wherever they can get on. Um, and also I wanted to bring up that I have been talking to Mr. Richardson, and I don't know if you all know, but he's also a musician. And they're finally going to be opening the 66 Visitor Center up in Westgate area, and he will be performing there, I believe, in July. So I think that'll be a great opportunity for all of us to show up for him, for the school, maybe get some students to film, get some B-roll, and make a cool thing out of it, because I've been trying to get my foot in that door for these past couple of years now, and now it's finally opening up. So I'd be honored to be able to be there, and even if we could set up a booth, maybe we can contact them and see if we can set up as a vendor or something, organization vendor. But yeah, great job, everybody. Thank you all. And the graduation was great. So minus the switching of diplomas, but but we had a good time. So thank you. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And ditto on that. Thanks for the reminder on the Route 66 visitor thing. We'll get those, and then whatever parades are coming by kind of in an email, so that we're all kind of aware of them coming. Because we are on Route 66. We're a Route 66 school. So yeah. Okay.
Carolyn, I'd like some more information about the film festival this weekend.
On Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
Anthony,
Oh,
Mr. Conforti. You need to unmute.
Yeah, actually, it's right after school, I believe, around 5 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock at the Guild Theater, right on Central. And it's just a couple hours, and we'll be showing some of the highlights of both animation and film work at the. I mean, like I said, I'm kind of I don't like to do it as a film festival. It's not curated in that sense, okay? I mean, I'd rather have it's hard to make a decision on, I mean, I do that with the Emmy Award nominations. I make a decision on which ones might win, but in this case, it was more a matter of showing as much of our students' work and kind of the variety of the work spanning all the different grade levels than just the top major films. And just again, my bad feeling about some local film festivals is we participated in one held by Data several years ago, and the film union, gave big prizes, like $1,000 prizes, and so we entered a number of films, and they were really good, and our students were all there watching, and guess who won all the top prizes? The,
Data.
the Data students.
Mm.
And that was horribly demoralizing to our students. And that's the problem with holding cross school. We talked about that in the past. Remember, Melinda, about having a film festival where we invite other schools. Well, for one thing, that pretty much disqualifies us from entering stuff, in my opinion. And so, anyways, this isn't like that. It's just really a film showing.
Oh, exhibition. That's probably a better word.
That's a better way to describe it, right? It's not a contest. It wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't curated.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, comments? No, great.
No.
Okay, we do not need an executive session today, so we do not need to move into that. So with no further business, I want to thank everyone for being here today and taking the time. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. So there we go. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
We're adjourned at 1:19 p.m. Donna needs that for the minutes. So,
Bye-bye. Have a good summer, everybody.
okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Everybody take care.
Okay, see you next time.